Hi, guys. Welcome to Soul Connections. Oh, actually, Chakra Sessions. Wow, I skipped to Wednesday. I am here with you live and am very excited to be in this energy today that is shifting us to a new vibration, a new place. It can feel a little spooky, a little scary to be making these energetic upgrades, but hey, it's time for that to happen. So let's see who's on deck. Hi, Christine. Welcome. I was so happy to see your beautiful painting last evening on Julie's show. It was lovely to see Saturn showcase. So lovely. And I love the spin that your artwork is taking. Hi, Rob. What do you know, Polly Joe? Glad to see you. Oh, my goodness. Hi, Lindsay June. Nice to see you. Yeah, you guys. Hi. Glad to have you here. So, I'm in this like really cool space right now. I'm in my new production studio. I don't know if you guys can see it, if you like it. But some of the last finishing touches got taken care of. So I'll be curious to see how that all looks after the fact. But my son helped me set up my new camera and my new microphone. And, that's how we're going today. So today is, we're coming off the energy of the full moon. We've got all these planets that are doing some crazy shifting that we are adjusting to here on planet Earth. And the thing that my team was really clear with me about was that the way through it is through your heart. And how do we get there on a regular basis? Because it's so hard when there's so much heavy energy, there's so much drama going on a planetary scale. How do we hold our vibration in such a way that we don't go down there with them? We can, as healers, we sometimes go down to the energy of somebody else where they're at to try to lift them up, rather than just simply offering them a hand so that they can step up on their own. And I've been noticing that a lot lately, where as healers, it's almost like we want the healing more for them than they want it for themselves. And then we're in our ego. We're not in our heart anymore. We've drained our own energy, and yeah, we've become depleted. So how do we get in our heart energy? How do we stay in our heart energy? And how do we do it in the fullness of our integrity? How do we do it in a complete way? And my team just keeps coming up with, grace, guidance, and gratitude. And so those are the three big words that keep coming up repeatedly. So it felt like a really good time for us to look energetically how those reside within us and how do we get to them, especially on those crazy days when, you've gone out to the grocery store and somebody hit you with a grocery cart and got cut off in the parking lot, and, somebody almost like rear-ended you, and you're trying to stay in this heart space, but you're having this barrage of energy. How do we do it? So, let's look at that. So let me see how, who's checked in. You are so welcome, Christine. I mean, really beautiful artwork. Someday we'll work together. Someday that will happen. I know it will. Oh yes, Neshi, I assumed the chakra sessions was you since I'm here. Thanks, Vicky. I'm glad you like it. And Neshi says, great lighting, great video. Good. I'm glad it's all coming through clearly. And Lindsay saying it looks amazing. Hi, Tina. Welcome. We were just chatting about how does my new production setup look, and how is it working? Because it's one of those things that I was hoping that it was really going to bring us a lot. So thank you, Fran. Thank you. Actually feel a lot better too. I know that helps. Hi, Marie. Glad you are here with us. So let's think about this. First of all, let's do the logistics because, Neshie's in the house to remind me. If you guys could like and share this broadcast so we can get it out there in Facebook land, that really helps. Because here at Star Nations, we are, here to help heal. We're spiritual teachers, and we don't know who we're meant to teach. We just know that we show up and the divine kind of works to help coordinate who needs to hear our message. We'll get to hear it. And so you can be in service too by liking and sharing the broadcast. I always think of taking my ego out of it because I don't know who needs it. But if somebody's talking about something in particular that really strikes a chord, I will private message them and send them the broadcast that way. Just because it's come up, it's, zinged me in a particular way. But just liking and sharing helps a whole lot. It gets us out in the news feed more often and allows us space to do our work the way we're meant to. So thank you. Rob is being poetic today again. So he says, I could cry for the time I've wasted, but it's a waste of time and tears. And I know just what I'd change if I went back in time somehow, but there's nothing I can do about it now, except released its hold so that it's no longer feeling. You can release the regret. That's the only thing that I would shift on that, because, when we hold on to things, we sometimes hold on to the regret, and that pulls our energy back. So let's start with grace. One of the things that comes in, we talk about at this school from time to time, when we're talking about how do we live in our heart energy. We do have two different hearts in our chakra system. We have our heart in the 7 chakra system that, really is the bridge between our lower ego self and our higher, more logical, aware self, the part of us that understands, cause and effect, the part of us that understands that there is more than meets the eye. But then we also have the high heart that resides within us, just above the regular heart. When we hold it within our physical body, it sits basically at the sternum. And, you may call that the high heart. You may call it the transcendental heart. It is that place where we access the heart of our soul. And the heart of our soul has no conditions on love, and no conditions on anyone for anything. And so which heart are you accessing when you are trying to live and breathe and be within your heart energy? And that is one of the ways where we can check in. When we are accessing our higher heart energy, we are in a place where things just happen with ease and grace. Things unfold seamlessly. There isn't a struggle. There is just this calm peace and serenity that goes with that, and a sense of everything is fine and it's going to be fine. It's only when the ego chimes in and gets us in our mental brain and thinking, and that we drop down. And when we drop down into our heart, which is not a horrible place to be. But that heart loves our ego, right? It loves that part of us. It loves our inner critic. It loves our inner child. And it says yes all the time. So when our ego can be rambling and it goes, yes, 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 I love this about you. Yes. When there's some part of us that would rather not be there, if that makes sense. So, hello, Julie. Glad to see you pop in the house. Welcome. So when we are looking for this place of grace, we want to do our best to access the highest vibrational heart energy frequency that we can. And, you know, a lot of people can find that energy, find that state first. You hear this every show, every time from every Star Nations host, I believe, which is first get grounded. You can't connect to it if you are not connected to the earth. We are here physically inhabiting an earth body at the moment, an earth vehicle. And even though we are divine spirit, our experience here, our soul lessons that are meant to be learned here are meant to be done on the physical plane of earth. And so first we've got to be grounded. We've got to be inside. And when we're grounded, can we feel our heart expansion? Can we experience unconditional love? And that can be a trial these days, right? Because there's a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of hatred being spewed out at different people and at different countries. And because of that, you know, love reflects love and hate reflects hate. So to bring the balance back and to restore ourselves to a place of grace, we have to take a deep breath and be in a space where we understand that we're all on different soul journeys. We're all here to learn something different. And because of that, not everybody is in a space where they're holding love energy right now. And even some beautiful healers that I know are having difficulty holding love energy right now, especially for themselves, right? And how we feel about ourselves is really indicative of how we are able to share love with others. So if we don't unconditionally love all the bumps and curves and nuances and all the life's tribulations we've been through, then it's really hard for us to share that unconditional love with somebody else, that pure empathy that happens when we're in a state of grace. Thanks, Vicky, for saying I'm glowing. I love that. Rob says it's not prejudice if you hate everyone. That is true. And why do you hate everyone, right? Because you hate yourself. Because that's what it all boils down to. What you spew out is what you feel about yourself inside. And there are times when people say things that seem a little bit hard for others to believe. And often that's because the person is trying to convince themselves that something that isn't okay is okay. So they're spinning. Their ego brain is trying to come up with, you know, the perfect answer to a solution that can't be answered that way because it's not being done in the heart. And so it's really kind of cool to see this unwinding of sort of all these ancient beliefs that are getting unwound at this time and being shown for how odd they are. And it's interesting to see people who are going through the process of saying these old beliefs and then having to find a way to defend something that's actually not resonating as truth for everyone. And I love, Vicky says, I love everyone and everything. Yeah. And that means, you know, we have to, when we're in that space, we can say it, right? I love everyone and I love everything, but that means we, you know, even the people who are spewing hate, you're sending them love and healing and hope that they can access a fuller vibration and come to a state of healing within them, right? So being in that grace state is, I see this from time to time. I don't know if you guys are going to understand. You know, my team is showing me a picture and it's hard to put human words to them. So there are people who know what they think a spiritual leader should look like. So every day they pick out their spiritual leader clothes, they pick out their spiritual leader persona, they wear it like an outfit. And it's not coming from inside their soul. It's what they're putting on as an appearance. And when somebody says things, whether they're in love or in hate, that don't resonate as truth with us, for those of us who are spending a lot of time in our heart center, we get curious. Because my kids, I used to have this ding that would go off in my head. And I first experienced it as a mother. Well, I experienced it when I was a child too. But when I was a mother, I got a real good sense of it, because it would go ding and I would know instantly that one of my kids was not being truthful. And they each had their own way of doing that. I had one son who would try to tell a lie. I had two other sons who were more, I'm so shocked they didn't become lawyers. They would avoid the verbiage that would get them close to having to tell the truth. So they would kind of avoid the question, or they would leave out important details. So they would omit some of the truth from the statement. So what they said wasn't true, but they would leave out information that would get them caught up in a lie. So that is when somebody is putting on an appearance, when they're trying to convince themselves of what they're trying to say. And we've seen many spiritual leaders in the past where, they put on this persona, they say what they know they should say, but they don't live it in their heart and in their soul. And when that happens, we get a ding of that. We get a sensation of that. And somehow it doesn't quite ring true. And a lot of people will say that. It doesn't quite ring true. So there is this sensation of when we don't own the fullness of our emotions, we don't own the fullness of our feelings, then we don't have a chance to work through them. And so being in love is not always being happy. It's grieving the circumstances where people still aren't treating each other with love and respect. And it can hurt your heart and it can hurt your soul. But you're still in your heart and you have empathy, hoping that at some point those people will change. But they're here to help us learn. They're here to help us see where energy needs to shift on a planetary scale. So, Tina, Rob is just going through his normal thing. And yes, my kids should be diplomatic, in diplomacy, especially my youngest boy. Oh boy. So Tina says, I know a couple of people who put on the spiritual appearance. It did not look right to me. It's fake. Yes, the farther they are away from their personal truth, they're not standing in, and we all do it, you say something to people please, your parents or relatives, and maybe you don't totally believe it, right? So we put on, the mom hat or we put on the teacher hat, and if we're not in alignment with our heart, if we're doing it because we have to, then there are times when it doesn't ring true. So we all have moments where that's the case. And a lot of it's because we don't believe it about ourselves. And when we don't believe it about ourselves, we can't share it. So, when we move with grace, we are in that heart space as much as we can be, right? It's you can only do the best that you can, and your best on each day is going to be different. Your best on some days is like 100%. You don't really have to see anybody, so it's easy to stay in your heart, right? But if you've got to go out, on Black Friday and go shopping with your relatives, and you've spent half a week with them, you may be working at like 10% because you've had all this energy that's made it harder, or it makes it hard to stay in the heart. That's part of our learning curve. It's part of our lesson. And so it's just, how do we get to grace? How do we stay there? And then the second thing that comes in is that, guidance. My team is like, guidance. Now, guidance comes from our intuition, first and foremost. Are we checking in? Are we listening? And when we get a ding, do we say, is this true? Is this mine? And when we're in a place where we're confused, and we all get confused, do we reach out to our spiritual team? Or do we ask people that maybe aren't the best people to ask, right? So I used to have this pattern, I'm sure we've all had this, where when I had something energetic, like I felt I was being called to do, and it seemed hard, right? I would ask other people what they thought in hopes that they would talk me out of it. And sometimes you would ask the people who are most likely to talk you out of it, rather than, your soul sisters who are going to give you the blank truth each and every time, whether you want to hear it or not, right? So who are you asking for guidance? Are you looking to the highest sources you have available? Or are you asking, the grocery store clerk, if she thinks that you should go on this spiritual quest or not? And she has no vested interest, right? And she doesn't even know you. So it's going to be a random answer. So that's one of the things where I sort of step in and really look at, who am I turning to? And I find that I upgrade who I talk to and who I ask for guidance on a regular basis. And lots of times you don't know you need an upgrade until you have a big situation hit the fan, and the people you thought were close, who were there for you, they scatter like ants. And I had that happen about like a year and a half ago. And, I had this really difficult thing come up and really needed some loving, kind support to get me through, kind of a dark night of the soul kind of energy. And definitely not kind of. And as I was going through that, I got to see who was going to step up and be there for me. And it allowed me to see, like, okay, now it's time for you to shift. And last year there was another shift of, there are certain people that it's, we've moved on energetically from being each other's support or guidance. And I did it again this year, where, I'm realizing that it's more that I'm getting clearer on how I want to be supported. Does that make sense? So when we are in a less wounded state, when we're in a wounded state, we're going to take help from whoever, wherever we can get it, however we can get it. And as we start to heal, we get a little more clear that we want help of a higher, fuller vibration. And so we go through upgrades. we go through upgrades energetically, so our support team is going to go through upgrades, and our spiritual team even shifts out as we move through life's lessons. So we're meant to keep moving. We're meant to keep growing. We're meant to keep stretching. And as we do that, who do we turn to help us as we go through it? And we're meant to turn and ask for help, because we incarnated on a planet with billions of people. We weren't meant to isolate and be a hermit, not this time around. Now we're meant, we learned to do things the hard way on our own. For centuries, we learned how to do that. Now it's time to come back to that, like, okay, now that we're resilient on our own, how do we come together as a community, as still standing on our own 2 feet, but working together as a team, not as a crutch, but as a team, So how are you reaching out for guidance? Are you meditating? Are you even asking your spiritual team? Are you saying, hey, dudes, I need a stronger sign because I'm not understanding you? I have done that a number of times. It's not clear. So send me a stronger sign. And sometimes the stronger sign is a good friend sending me a message a second later going, hey, we haven't talked in a while. And I'm like, oh, all right. So this is the friend who's going to help me. Does that make sense? Tina's saying, it's like saying I am. Yes. Yes. Vicky. Yes, I've needed help and support several times in my life. And sadly, no one helped or supported me, but you learn from it, right? Yeah, that's sometimes part of it. And sometimes, I realized, I had to go through a period of time where I didn't have as much support as I needed. But I learned to stand on my own 2 feet. And then I learned how to more clearly ask for help. Before it was like, I need help. And I'd say it in such a panicked way that everyone would go running. Now I can say to my son, could you hook up this new microphone that I have, since he has one just like it? Show me how to do it as you're doing it, but could you do that for me? Sure. That's different than me going, I need help. Because then he's like, oh, doesn't know what he's going to get himself into, right? So he's not going to jump to help out. But it's like, oh, showing me how to hook up my own microphone so I can use it properly and showing me the settings. Yeah, that's a piece of cake, because once it's shown, it's taught, and I can move and grow from that. So let's see. Vicky was saying something. Everything costs so much money, seeing different healers, etc. Then they suggest someone else I know. They all help in their way, but it's hard when you don't have finances. I've asked myself in spirit, etc., but not getting or hearing anything. Yeah, sometimes it's really difficult because part of our healing process is patience. And so we need to sit in it, is kind of how my team has showed me a couple times. You need to sit in this for a little while until you figure out the gift of the situation you're in. And I find that the more I get clarity, then things like the money for my support team or my healers shows up. Lindsay June, I don't know if she's still on here. She is a fabulous manifester. If she needs an appointment with a healer, her team sends her the money for that. As soon as she books the appointment, she may not have the money when she books the appointment, but boy, oh boy, they send her the finances like that, because she's made that conscious choice to ask for support, and she expects her team to deliver. And so there is that shift that happens when we're sitting in our heart more often. But you being here, the healing that you're getting here as is as good, as thorough as doing, $100 session. And you can go back on YouTube and watch show after show after show, and get what you need, if you choose to, because that's the cool thing about the healing meditations that happen through here and through my soul connection shows, is because not everybody can get to a healer, and some of the healers just really need a support crew. That's what we are here at Star Nations. We're your support crew. Some of it's from healing work from me, some of it is just getting the daily card draw from Neshi so that that's the energy of the day and you're not crazy. That it is a tumultuous day because that's what's going on. That's what the card is showing happening. Then you don't feel isolated. You don't feel like you're the only one. And that is healing as well. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee. Decaf, mind you. But I'm able to drink a little bit of coffee these days, which is a huge healing improvement in the past couple of weeks. So, the last thing that my team is talking about is gratitude. And this is the piece where I feel like when all else fails, we can do gratitude. Every single day we can do gratitude. And gratitude can be all sorts of different things. Gratitude is like, at this moment, I am so grateful that the sun is shining, that it is not raining. It has been dark and rainy for a while here in New England. So to have a beautiful sunny day is just amazing. To have, yesterday was very humid because the storm needed to come through. So today it's that spring and breezy, and I am so grateful for that. I'm grateful to be able to drink my decaf coffee now and have my stomach be clear. I'm grateful to my son for helping me, set up my studio so that I can reach more people and could be heard more clearly. I'm, and on and on and on. There are tons of, even when we're having a horrible day, there are good things that happen every single day. And it's a matter of shifting our focus from what's wrong to what's right. So, I encourage you to create a gratitude practice if you haven't done it yet. And there's this beautiful, way of, you can start off in the morning by writing 3 things you're grateful for, or 3 things at the end of the day that you are grateful for that happened. And interesting. So just that moment, as soon as I said that, one of our windows blew open. So now there's even more breeze going. So you're probably actually going to start to hear the wind chimes that like to go off sometimes. So do it each morning, do it each evening, whichever works better for you. And those of you who are really Facebook savvy, I've had students where I've given them a 30-day challenge. And maybe some of you are up to that. And the 30-day challenge is to post one thing every day for 30 days that you're grateful for, and watch it shift, because what happens is you start looking for something to share, and you start looking for things to be grateful for, and it shifts your vibration and it shifts your focus. And the next thing you know, you're in your heart space without even thinking about it. It just gently shifted your energy to where it wants to be. And then all of a sudden, when you're in that place of gratitude, then the grace starts to happen, and then the guidance gets clearer, and then you're more grateful, which allows more grace. And it's a beautiful cycle that can happen for you. Yes. So Vicky is saying, very true. Thanks for that. But hard when I'm in pain and have no energy. Yeah, I was sick for 6 weeks. I get it. While your friend has a fantastic manifestation for her needs. Yes, very true. Really appreciate all you do. The other one you do is too late in the UK. That makes sense. But I always tune in. Thank you, sweetheart. Yes, and we all have something to be grateful for, and we all have something to be blessed for. And remember, you can go on YouTube and you can watch the Soul Connections even the day after or a week after or a month after. I have clients and students that, it's part of their practice. They see me rather than seeing me, once a week, which great would be lovely, but financially is difficult. They see me, and in between, they use the Soul Connections meditations for their own personal healing. They set their intention of what they want to do and what they want to release, and they use that tool to help guide them. So it's just this lovely space. So I would love to see some, gratitude Facebook barrages, because we see so much negativity, right? I have a lovely friend who is asking people to send their favorite pictures of Grandmother Earth, to share them. And so that has been a lovely thing too. Because I'm connected to her, all these people who tag her, I get to see all these beautiful earth shots that people took. And when we take those and we're enamored with the beauty around us, it shows up in those photographs. So maybe just starting that gratitude practice will help shift your energy. And so, one of the good things that goes on with, when my team is talking about this, I feel very connected to the chakra energy, and I'm seeing where people are having difficulty with either finding gratitude, which you find in your heart, but then voicing it comes from your throat. Now, one of my practices, and the ones that, my kids do, because I guess I've been doing it longer than I thought, but I say thank you for every green light. And I say thank you for my parking spaces. Out loud, and I'll either say it to the goddess, to creator, whatever strikes me at the moment. But because of that, I keep getting, so if I say thank you for the first green light when I'm driving, then I get another one and I say thank you again, and then I get another. And it gets to the point where there are no red lights. And if I get a red light, it's like, I know there's a very good reason why I needed to stop and slow down. Does that make sense? So it's like, and then I'm grateful for the red light. Thank you for slowing me down and allowing me to be aware. And maybe I see something that I didn't know I was going to see, or experience something I wasn't expecting to, because I stopped and slowed down. And if I don't get a parking space in the front 3 parking spaces, if I have another errand to run, I go run it first, because it's an indication that this is going to be more of a struggle than I want it to be. And so I say, thank you for showing me that I should go to the other store first, because the energy will move more quickly if I do that. Those are signs from my guides that we've established, long term, that's an indication. And it's such an indication that my family knows it, and anybody who's driven in the car with me knows it. And they'll be like, oh, here we are, front spot again. Or, oh no, maybe we should run that other errand because we can't find a spot. So grace, guidance, gratitude, they're all in our upper chakras. What blocks them is all beneath that. It's our ego self who's worried that if we hand over control to our higher self, what's going to happen to our ego? Are we going to die because, the higher self takes over? So that's part of the struggle. And part of the struggle is creating a loving relationship with your ego and, smiling when it's kind of being obnoxious. And sometimes we aren't in a place where we can smile. So then we call up a friend who can point out the way we need to laugh at how our ego's stepping in and giving us a hard time and pulling us out of our heart energy, out of grace, out of gratitude, and definitely out of guidance. Because when you're not feeling your team, or you don't feel like you're getting messages, or you feel isolated, it's because you are. So how is the ego, lower self energy, keeping you from connecting to your higher self? And generally, we spend some time in our heart if we can find a way, and then those passages open back up. So yes, grace, guidance, and gratitude. Those are the three I want to hear you guys saying repeatedly. So let's do a quick little meditation. And to do that, I'm going to invite you to, have your arms and your feet uncrossed, to have, yourself connected to the earth in some way, whether it's your feet, whether it's your fanny, whether it's your back. And I'm going to make some clearing noises as we do this. Perfect. And we're going to call in the grounding energy, because I know a few of you could use a little more grounding. So whether you invite Grandmother Earth to come up to you and help anchor you and hold you, or whether you reach your energy down to connect with her, either way will work. And some of you are great at connecting that first chakra, that root chakra, down with Grandmother Earth. And others, maybe you need to reach up to your heart chakra. And as we were talking earlier, are you going to connect your heart chakra in your 7 chakra system to ground you, which works lovely, has a green strand to it as it moves all the way down through your other chakras and into the ground? Perfect. And some of you need to envision it going through your feet. That will help. And then others of you, maybe you understand that if you can connect to your high heart in the sternum, that beautiful pink color, that grounding that energy through all of your chakras, what a difference could that bring to you? As your higher self helps hold your energy in connection with this beautiful earth vessel that you are traveling in, this beautiful body, this temple that houses your divine spirit in this moment. Good. And now we're going to call in the divine energy, Grandfather, Sky, Creator, and ask that it surround and protect us in a bubble of infinite love and infinite light. And strengthen our energy shields so that we feel safe and welcome to explore how we can bring grace, guidance, and gratitude more fully into our being. Yeah. And invite in your spiritual team, all the angels, guides, masters, mystical creatures, animal beings, star beings, all of those helpers and teachers of the highest, fullest, and brightest vibration available to you in this moment. And just really be in a space where you can be open to their guidance and their messages, however they may be experienced in this moment. So we're going to invite the divine energy to come in through our crown, expanding our divine connection, gently awakening more fully our divine access, and opening our intuition so that we can sense, know, hear, and see guidance when it is sent to us, even in all of its subtle ways. And opening our throat and helping us find ways to express grace and gratitude in our spiritual and everyday practices, and even opening our abilities to be guidance for others, to be the messenger at times when others are in need. And all the ways our self-expression can shine brightly for others to see and experience. And moving down into the heart chakra and really allowing that heart to expand and connect to the high heart, holding the possibility for grace and ease to enter, for love to flow without conditions, even if just for ourselves. And making room for all of our spiritual teachers to communicate with our heart, anchor and ground in our heart. And asking and reminding the heart how it can lovingly bridge and be the connection to our lower self, to our ego, to that human part of ourselves that is here as our teacher. And now just reaching down into that third chakra and calming the inner critic, calming the ego, and allowing our energy body to understand and feel that relaxed connection of flow and all the ways we can access that. Releasing any stress or anxiety frustration, resentment that may be squeezing us a little tightly. And moving down into the second chakra and allowing our emotions to flow freely, to serve as our radar, to understand when we have gone through a period of disconnect, or when others have crossed our energetic boundaries. And expanding our creative energy that flows here so that we can be creative in all aspects of our life and our journey. Even creative in how we connect with our spiritual team and the divine energy flowing through us lovingly, abundantly. And as it passes through our hips and begins to anchor in our root chakra, allowing space for grace, guidance, and gratitude to be rooted in our foundation. Having this energy help us feel safe and secure in our own body, in our tribe, in our jobs, on the earth plane. And just allowing that energy to flow all the way down into the very center of the earth. Because how loving and healing is it if we can share grace, guidance, and gratitude with Grandmother Earth, who lovingly holds and supports us and nurtures us. And just take a moment to feel the gentle energy as it flows through you. Notice if there are any places in your body where you feel resistance or tightness or pain. And just send gratitude for your body showing you where energy is stuck and would like to move. And ask the divine energy to flow to those spots. Gently dissolving any tension. Now take a couple of deep breaths. And with each deep breath, just feel more attached to your earth body, to the here, to the now. You can stretch and rub your hands together, rub your feet on the floor. Welcome back. Roberta has a great. Roberta says, thanks. Understanding the energy. I always have great luck with driving and parking, even when being passed by speeders. I will end up in front of them because they got blocked with crazy energy. I just giggle every time. Right? It's really funny. You don't get any faster to a place by swerving in and out of traffic. If you just keep and go at your steady pace, and stay in the flow, often the divine just really aligns everything so you end up exactly where you're meant to be. It's quite a interesting sensation, and that's when you're flowing, right? You're flowing in grace. So Rob said, powerful, even walking. Thank you. You are so welcome. Yes. there's a lot of power when we are in our high heart chakra and when we allow that energy to gently enter. And when we are willing to look to experience that, we then radiate that and see how long this energy sticks with you. Are you able to have it for the rest of the day? Are you able to have it for a few hours, for a few minutes? And it just lets you know how to get back to it. My team loves to create these moments where you have a muscle memory. This is what it feels like to attach to your high heart. And now having that connection, you can sit in meditation and ask to reconnect to that energy of your high heart and call that in. And that can really, it's empowering you to call in your own energy, your own spirit, and find ways back to you. That's how my team is showing it. It's like finding your way home. You're not lost. You're just sort of looking the wrong direction sometimes. You know, we get so distracted with the shiny thing over here that we forget that we need to focus right here and right now. Oh, thank you, Vicki. You are so welcome. Thank you. So, you know, that's kind of it for this segment. I want to remind people a couple of things. First of all, you know, Neshi will have the live card draw at 3:00 Eastern time, which is always insightful about the energy of the day and kind of what's going on. For me, when I am called to listen, it's usually the energies for me, or it's for a client that I have later in the day. It's like, oh yeah, that energy's up on the planet. So you're just picking up on planetary energy of shifting and changing what's going on. And tomorrow night, I'll be back here for Soul Connections at 7 p.m., where I'll do a healing, clearing meditation. And I'll be pulling cards once more from The Answer is Simple. Let me get it close enough. I got to work on my new camera feed. The Answer is Simple. By Sonia Choquette. Those oracle cards, I really like them. They're very straightforward and basic. And then those of you who would like an opportunity to study in person with me, I will be at Star Nations Academy coming up in June. And that is an intensive. It's a deep dive. We do Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And you know, I have a very good friend who's a therapist who says, you know, a weekend with me is like a year of therapy. So if you're ready to really shake and bake some energy from your system and maybe get yourself to a place where you feel like you can access your grace on a regular basis or a more regular basis, then come, because I don't do these one weekend workshops. You can ask anybody with my school. So come join us in Toma, because I would love to see you in person. And, you know, I hope to see many of you at that. So let me just check last minute. Bobby is saying, excellent. I've had some stuck breath energy. Love feeling of being much, much lighter. Yes, I know. I love that too. And that looks like it's it. So you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Enjoy it. Find some gratitude. And I'd love to see some of you share some of that gratitude, either on your Facebook pages or share them to Star Nations, or even on Chakra Sessions on my page. Share some of that gratitude. Let us all have a moment to share that energy. Oh, quick. So Vicky's saying, are you able to do something for me, please, tomorrow night? And I will watch the replay. Yes, oh, nice. Yes, the online courses I think are coming this fall. That is what it feels like. And so here's the link to me coming to Toma the 14th to the 16th. Spirit definitely shifted that and made that happen, which I'm really glad for. But yes, Vicky, I'm going to write you down right now. I will pull a card for you. And I'll make sure you end up right on our list so that when you listen, you will hear your card for the week and see what the energy is for that. And with that, guys, again, have a really blessed day. And I look forward to seeing you on the flip side. See you tomorrow or see you next week, whichever it is. With that, have a great one, guys.